Well, tonight we hear from parents in the Valley about armed teachers. A new policy lets select trained staff members carry a concealed handgun while on campus. It was approved last week. Georgina Fernandez shows us opinions are still very polarizing.
When that bell rings, every parent wants the same thing.
And so as a parent, I want to make sure my kid is protected by whatever means is necessary.
Their kid safe inside. The Matsu Borough School District says the goal of a new policy is to increase safety by letting certain staff members carry a concealed handgun in case of an emergency. It's a reality that hits home for Matsu mom Sarah Williams.
I think what goes through my mind that can't ever, maybe I don't ever want it to be removed, is the feeling of the bullet that went across the top of my legs.
Williams is one of the survivors of the 1998 Thurston High School shooting. She still remembers the day clearly.
I can't help but think if there had been a security guard in that cafeteria that could have disarmed him at the door, how much carnage would have been prevented from that process.
Would there have been a difference if that security guard was armed versus not being armed?
Well, I think that I can't tell you one way or another because I don't know what that security guard might have had a training otherwise. I can tell you it is certainly easier to disarm someone with a weapon if you have a weapon than if you are not.
Williams telling us she is for the policy while others disagree, including veteran James Majetic.
I am personally very in favor of the Second Amendment and gun rights and these sort of things. I mean, I make a living as a hunting guide in part. But they're two things that I don't think really complement each other at all, teaching and being armed security.
Adding that he does not believe the initial training requirement is enough.
It's a lot to ask from people who aren't trained and they don't have a background in that.
But guns aside, the problem these two say is deeper.
I would rather see schools and school districts addressing some of the root issues, of mental health and, lack of weapons education, versus just adding more guns to the equation.
While this policy decision has been made, some parents still believe more action is needed to prevent violent acts before they happen or develop. Georgina Fernandez, Alaska's news source.
Well, who is Dan Sullivan? That is the Petersburg Dan Sullivan running against the sitting U.S. Senator with the same name. We have been asking that question for weeks now, and we still don't have an exact answer. Joining us now in studio, our political reporter, Will Courtney.
Yeah, Rebecca, we've made several calls and sent several emails to this Sullivan for the last 11 days, and that's when he filed for office. We did get through to him today, and after saying he would talk to us, he never actually did. This comes as Lieutenant Governor Nancy Dahlstrom opened an investigation against that man, saying he signed an oath under penalty of perjury. Perjury, according to state law, is making a false sworn statement which the person does not believe to be true, and it all comes with a sentence upwards of 10 years. We've also reached out to Dahlstrom's office, whose spokesperson said she could not comment because the investigation was still open. Live on our website and our mobile app, we have more details on what little we know about the man from Petersburg and the accusations from national Republicans that his candidacy is illegitimate. Rebecca.
And as we have seen more comfortable temperatures so far this month, will they continue as we head toward the middle of the week? Jackie Purcell joins us now with the forecast.
Well, I can tell you that things are looking better, and those temperatures are steadily warming, not just in the south central area, but across the state. Currently at 60 in Anchorage, 61 now out of Palmer, Fairbanks 57, but check out that expanse of blue sky there. And the sun beaming in Ketchikan, a temperature of 65 degrees. And you mentioned it has been fairly pleasant. We had 4 of 5 days last week with 70-degree temperatures. It was up to 62 for Monday and right at the 60-degree mark for us today so far. We could see another degree or two, though, as we go through the early evening. 62 is our normal, and from 2013, a high on this date of 75. Staying into the upper 50s today, but I did warn that It would still be a cool day into the interior. Their warm-up still to come. We do have some scattered showers meandering across the Kenai Peninsula. Some of those are convective in nature, so they could be heavier showers. Some lightning strikes picking up in the Copper River Basin, and it's frost possible into the interior. We'll see less showers in the coming days and warmer temperatures. So that is a great way to talk about our forecast. Even into tomorrow, we'll see the warm-up begin. 68 in Fairbanks, sunny as well in Fairbanks and Anchorage, as well as Bethel. Juneau, 65. I'll have more on the forecast. It's all coming up a little later.
Thank you, Jackie. A teenager accused of sparking the 2024 White Sands Beach bonfire explosion that injured multiple people was in court today. Johnson Kuhn has the update.
18-year-old Kavik Skonberg is charged with 3 counts of first-degree assault and 2 counts of third-degree assault for his alleged role in the 2024 Kodiak bonfire explosion. The blast hurt a number of teens. 5 were medevaced to Anchorage with moderate injuries. No photos of Skonberg have been made available through police records. The explosion happened in November 2024 when troopers say a 55-gallon fuel drum was thrown into a fire at a beach party. One of the teens injured, Kavik Wolf, recently died in a Memorial Day car crash. In addition to Kavik Wolf, other teens injured in the explosion included Alexia Coben, Mia Camacho, Cassandra Canaveral, and Brian Arndt. Kavik Wolf's sister, Eva, says the case still divides the community of Kodiak to this day.
It's 50-50 because there are still families that are, want to push him aside and, throw away the key.
Eva says some of her own family are among those still hoping for some degree of justice.
He was kind of given a bit more freedom than my grandparents would have liked since he was able to go commercial fishing with an ankle monitor on. They weren't fans of that.
But she says before her brother died, the 2 Kaviks had found their time to bury the past and become friends once again.
There was no animosity. Kavik, had his own conversation and forgave him.
Wolf says she rushed back to Kodiak after getting the call about her brother's death. She ran into Skonberg's mom at the airport, who she says also learned the news in that moment.
She just grabbed me and I just sobbed in her arms for about 5 minutes, and she sat next to me on the flight back to Kodiak while I cried. And for that moment alone that I had with her, everything else is kind of set aside.
She says while the incident is still fresh on the community's mind, there are those, in her view, that have found ways of making their peace with what happened.
Everybody deserves a second chance, and I think that that's what this town is realizing.
And as the case proceeds, Eva says whether it was an accident or intentional, forgiveness, in her eyes, is the best path forward. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's news source.
And Alaska's news source reached out to the families of everyone who was injured. We did not hear back before the deadline. We're still working to confirm what came out of today's hearing, and we'll update this story as we learn more. Downtown Fairbanks is looking a bit different this week after artists gathered near Golden Heart Plaza for 2 separate painting events. This week, dozens of volunteers came together to paint diamond designs on sidewalks. The shapes guide visitors to the city's starter block, where chalets will house small businesses this summer. Another group of people painted storm drains along 1st and 2nd Avenue. That project was part of the annual Storm Drain Contest to raise awareness about keeping stormwater clean.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.